Good day, this is Ray. Today is Saturday, January 28th, 2023. And for me, another day of social distancing. Hope that you, your family, friends, and loved ones are doing well, staying safe. And no joke, I record my videos on the same day that I posted. It is 6:53 a.m. This video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. This is sort of a presentation, abbreviated presentation of my debt payoff journey, which I'm currently going through. I still have a little bit of ways to go before I'm consumer debt free. You're looking at a picture of me as a kid. I was with my dad and my older brother at a karate event wearing a Hewlett-Packard hat. I'm not even sure if Hewlett-Packard is around anymore, but I know they had a symphony orchestra back in the day. They were pretty horrible. But, just wanted to show you a little bit of picture of me. I have a quote up too. Always remember people who have helped you along the way, and don't forget to lift someone up. Roy T. Bennett. I think that's, very appropriate for life, and it's something that I want to remember going forward. So my debt journey is long, and I still have a ways to go. I'm sorry, my debt payoff journey is long. Still have a ways to go, but I'm on the path of becoming at least consumer debt free. And over the past few years, I really have taken to budgeting and becoming serious about my finances, and more importantly about my health, which I'll discuss in the next couple of slides. So in May of 2019, I was diagnosed with lupus, was hospitalized 6 times in a period of 2 years, and as a result, I accrued a lot of medical debt. I didn't have the money to be able to pay those bills. Had to use loans and whatnot to be able to get by, even with health insurance, because I met my out-of-pocket maximum a few years and my deductible every year since being diagnosed in 2019. Bulk of my consumer debt is the student loan. I had to make a last-minute move cross-country, broke a lease, and ended up with my stuff in storage for 2 years. Already had heavy credit card debt from just basic consumer spending over the years, getting clothes, buying instruments. I'm a former musician. And, just other random things, not really knowing how to spend, making dumb purchases. And then finally learned how to budget in my early 40s. Keep in mind, I'm not a 6-figure earner. And I am looking at notes, just in case you see my eyes darting off. I'm just being transparent. This is a vlog. It's not anything professional. It's just, my life. Okay, so the type of consumer debt that I had, and in general, the types of debt there are for consumer debts: medical, credit cards, installment. The only installment debt I had at that point was a cell phone. So I had a cell phone, I was making monthly payments towards that, which was part of my cell phone bill. And I had an auto loan, a couple of 401k loans to cover the medical debt, personal loans, and student loans. So that was as of beginning of 2021, that's what my consumer debt consisted of. Now today, it's a little more simplified. I had to do things to make it manageable for me to make the monthly payments. This is what worked for me. It may not work for you. I consolidated most of my consumer debt. I would say most of the medical debt I actually paid off. And then I consolidated my credit cards because the interest rates on the credit cards were extremely high, from like 20% up to 25 to 27%. And I just couldn't keep up with the payments. So I had a lot of credit cards. and I was trying to do the snowball method. That didn't really work for me. So I was fortunate to be able to consolidate those credit cards, and the highest interest rate on the loan I have currently is 8%, and that's still high, but it's not in the 20s. So the breakdown of my consumer debt right now is that 60% of my consumer debt are the student loans, the 2 student loans. And then 40% of my consumer debt is the personal loans. Now, I'm going to reiterate that this worked for me to consolidate those credit cards just because the monthly payments were so much that I was actually spending, 100% of my income just on trying to pay off the debt. So it makes sense for me to do that, but everybody's going to be different. All right, so year to year consumer debt. This is when I started to track month to month what my consumer debt was. As of February 2021, I was at $97,520.57, almost $100,000. I'm sure at some point I was over 6 figures in just consumer debt alone. But when I started tracking it month by month, that was the number. So 2021, I paid off $19,562.05, which is 20.1% of that original debt. That sounds great, and that is great, and I'm gonna speak on reasons why it could have been more, it could have been less, but that was the number. 2022, my beginning consumer debt, because I had paid off that amount, was $77,958.52, which is $10,480.04 paid off. So you can see that's less than the year before. 10.7% of the consumer debt paid off for that year. The total debt paid off to that point, $30,042.09, 30.8% of the original debt. So, and I'll talk about the reasons for that in the next slide. And now, just beginning 2023, January is almost over. My beginning consumer debt, 2023, $67,478.48. Paid off $895.83 this month, which is 0.9% of the consumer debt for this year. Total debt paid off since beginning tracking, $30,937.92, which is 31.7%. So I'm going to keep tracking this, and I'm going to show you in a couple of slides here. At the end of each month, I'll probably devote a minute or so just to kind of keep you updated as to where I'm at with my consumer debt pay down. Okay, so looking back, 2021, I only had consumer debt. I had learned how to budget. More importantly, though, I had my emergency fund built up pretty quickly because I was dumping money into savings already, but I didn't identify that as an emergency fund. So I had an emergency fund of $5,000, and I was living home with my parents. So that was the reason why I was able to pay off as much as I did. Now, if I had my emergency fund to $5,000, let's say earlier in the year, then I probably could have paid off, $25,000. But it didn't happen that way, and I didn't even know what emergency fund was until I met Brad Long, and he showed me, the importance of having one. So after I had gotten the emergency fund, I started to accelerate my debt pay down. But then a lot changed. 2022, became a homeowner. I took on a mortgage, was hit with a sizable federal and state taxes, wiped out my emergency fund. Now, the way I had to buy my home, I would not recommend to anybody. I actually pulled money out of my 401k, cashed out a chunk of it, not the whole thing. And then because of that, when it reflected on my taxes, it showed that I was more than a 6-figure earner. And then because of that, I got hit pretty hard with federal and state taxes, which sucked. But because I had my emergency fund, I was able to take care of that. But because of that, it depleted my emergency fund. And so I spent most of the end of 2022 and now 2023, trying to rebuild my emergency fund, which isn't, the easiest thing to do, especially being a homeowner, and a lot of my income is going towards all new expenses. But I'm slowly getting the habit of dealing with these, new bills, as well as budgeting monthly for my mortgage, my HOA, my internet, electricity, car insurance, prescriptions, and other things. So, the better I get at budgeting. Also, I look for, savings. I'm sorry, groceries and things like that. I look for savings because I budget. I'm very strict about it. So, anyway, 2023, my goal is to have my baby emergency fund fully replenished. My goal is to have that replenished by April or May, prayerfully before that. So, looking at the next slide, my baby emergency fund is 47% funded. Now, it's recommended that, and this is not, Dave Ramsey, but it should be between $3K and $5K for your baby emergency fund before accelerating debt pay down. Emergency fund is extremely important because emergencies happen. I'm a walking, talking, breathing emergency. I've been to the hospital 6 times in 2 years where I didn't have the money. If I had the money to cover those emergencies, it would have helped me not go further backwards into consumer debt. And so, I'm definitely going to harp on the importance of having an emergency fund. It's all part of the plan to be able to accelerate the debt pay down. So, for me, this is a non-negotiable. I have to get it to this 100% funded before I actually accelerate my debt pay down again. All right, so what I'm going to show you is my month-to-month consumer debt going forward. Once again, started on my year, 67,478, 48, excuse me. Paid off this month, 895.83, off to a slow start. February, I will be beginning my consumer debt at $66,582.65. It's probably going to be somewhere around the same consumer debt payoff for this month. Maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how things go. But for me, this keeps me motivated. It helps keep things in perspective about the goal of paying off this consumer debt and being done with it. And, one of the things that may happen this year, which I'm not counting on, is that there will be student loan forgiveness. And I've been told that I will qualify for $20,000 of forgiveness. If that happens, then great. If not, then I'm just going to continue on this path and just continue building better financial habits and paying off this consumer debt. My advice to you is that don't wait. Learn how to budget, whether it's the type of budget that I do, a zero-based budget, or any other budgets out there. Whatever works for you, stick to it. Get organized. Determine how much you owe. Once again, learn how to budget. Build that baby emergency fund, because after your baby emergency fund and you pay off your consumer debt, you want to build a full emergency fund, which means you'll have enough money to be able to cover 6 months to a year worth of expenses. It's because where you paid your debt paid out. Find ways to stay motivated. For me, tracking my debt month to month, year to year, has been helping me to stay motivated, because I do have a longer journey. Your journey may be shorter. Your journey may be longer, but that leads to this. Don't compare yourselves to others. Your situation is going to be different than everybody else's. My situation is different than yours. And, I learned quickly not to compare my situation to others. Stop buying stuff you don't need. You don't need the newest TV. You don't need the newest car. You don't need the newest stove. The stove that I have in my place, when I got mine, is the original stove that came with it. The only appliances that I had to get because they weren't in here was a refrigerator and a washer and dryer. And so those were the things that I got. But this stove, I don't know, it's probably 20 years old for all I know. And if I have an emergency and the stove goes out, I'll give me a stove, not anything expensive, something relatively cheap to replace that. But anyway, stop buying stuff you don't need. Stop, looking at TV and say, oh man, that thing looks cool. And in a year or so, you're going to be like, I wasted money on that. 5 ways to save. Don't look back, or don't go back to your old ways. And don't take on new debt. And this is the longest video I've had, I know it. It's over 15 minutes right now, just the video itself. If you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Feel free to share the videos. You'll know when I post my videos. And you all take care. See you in February.